I knew she hated me, but I didn't know she hated me enough to do this. The sound of metal scraping against the tow truck's ramp hit me in the gut harder than any punch could. My car, my car, was halfway in the air already, tires twisting like some dying animal, while she stood there next to the driver with that smug little smile she always wore when she was about to ruin someone's day. HOA Karen, president of the neighborhood association, clipboard in hand, sunglasses perched on the edge of her sharp nose like she was auditioning to be suburban royalty. "This one's been violating HOA guidelines for weeks," she said, voice dripping with fake concern as she tapped her pen against the side mirror of my car. "Unregistered, improperly parked, safety hazard." Improperly parked? My car was in my own driveway. I barely heard her next words over the boiling in my ears. But what really made me want to laugh, what really made my hands tremble, was that she didn't know. She didn't know who she was messing with today. She didn't know that I wasn't the same quiet neighbor who ignored her HOA newsletters or her nasty little notes about my trash can placement. And she definitely didn't know that my best friend since grade school just happened to wear a badge. "Oh, Karen, you really picked the wrong driveway this morning. If you've ever dealt with someone like this, someone who thinks the rules only exist for other people, stick around. Trust me. By the end of this story, you're going to want to hit that subscribe button because this wasn't just HOA overreach. This was personal, and I wasn't about to let her get away with it." The tow driver glanced at me like he wanted to say something, maybe even apologize, but Karen barked another order. "No talking to him. Finish the job." That's when I pulled out my phone. One call, just one. I stared at her smug little smirk and hit dial. It rang once, twice, then that familiar voice, steady and dry like gravel on asphalt. "Yo." "Evan," I said, never breaking eye contact with Karen. "Need you here. Now." "Where?" "Home. Be there in 3." I hung up, slipping the phone back into my pocket just as Karen folded her arms, finally noticing I wasn't panicking the way she wanted. "Oh, calling for backup? Sweetheart, that's not going to help you. You don't get special privileges just because you can't follow community rules." I almost laughed at that. "Ma'am," the tow driver finally spoke, voice cautious. "Are you sure about this? It looks like—" "Don't talk to him," she snapped, like he was a disobedient dog. "You work for the HOA today, and I'm the HOA." The truck groaned as the winch strained, dragging my car higher. My car wasn't new, wasn't expensive, but it was mine, and I wasn't about to let it vanish because this woman decided I didn't belong in my own house. The rage in my chest sat under the surface like coals waiting for oxygen. 2 minutes later, a cruiser pulled up, tires crunching softly over the gravel. And when the door opened, out stepped Officer Evan Carter, 6'2", mirrored sunglasses, the same guy who used to copy my algebra homework in 10th grade. Except now he had a badge, a gun, an authority Karen wasn't ready to meet. Karen's expression faltered for half a second. "Finally," she said, composing herself. "Officer, this man is trespassing on HOA property and refusing to comply with community standards. I have documented complaints, numerous, and now he's causing a scene." Evan glanced at me. One look. That was all we needed. "Trespassing?" he asked, voice flat, unreadable. "Ma'am, this is his house." Karen's jaw twitched. "Not legally. The HOA has jurisdiction." Evan stepped closer. "That's not how jurisdiction works." And just like that, I saw her confidence flicker. Karen wasn't done. Not by a long shot. She pulled a neatly folded stack of papers from her leather binder, snapping the rubber band off with dramatic flair. "These," she announced, "are official HOA violations. Repeated offenses, lawn overgrowth, unauthorized vehicle repairs in the driveway, trash bins not properly concealed, and now, illegal parking." Evan didn't even blink. Illegal parking? In his own driveway? Karen smiled, tilting her head like she was explaining something to a toddler. The driveway extends 3 inches onto common property. We had it surveyed. It violates Section 14B of our bylaws. I wanted to scream. 3 inches. She was towing my car over 3 inches of driveway overlap. Evan took off his sunglasses slowly, the way he did back in school right before a fight started. Ma'am, I'm going to say this once. Tow trucks don't operate on private residential property without the explicit consent of the owner. And that's him, not you. Karen's face flushed, splotchy and red. You don't understand. I run this HOA. These people need rules or it turns into chaos. He's been a problem since he moved in. Behind her, two neighbors had quietly stepped outside, watching from their porches. I recognized one of them, Mrs. Diaz, always polite, always quiet. But now she was holding her phone, recording. Karen saw the cameras too. Her voice rose, cracking on the edges. Do you know how many violations I've fixed in this community? Do you know how many property values I've saved? Evan didn't move. You're abusing authority. And if you don't get that tow truck off this property in the next 60 seconds, I'm going to start writing citations. Karen laughed, but it was brittle. For what? For starters, false claims to law enforcement, criminal trespass by that tow operator, and interference with private property. That's when the tow truck driver finally stepped back, hands raised. Lady, I'm not getting arrested over your lawn drama. I could see it now, her whole world unraveling, one thread at a time. Karen's breathing got sharp and fast, her mouth opening like she was about to unload another speech. But something was different now. The eyes watching her weren't filled with admiration or fear, just tiredness, exhaustion. People who'd been putting up with this far too long. Mrs. Diaz wasn't the only one filming anymore. I spotted two more phones raised behind screen doors, neighbors capturing every word, every twitch of Karen's manicured fingers as they clenched that sad little stack of papers like a shield. Evan folded his arms. Want to keep going? Or should we talk about these other complaints? Karen blinked. What complaints? Evan nodded toward me. See, the funny thing about authority, you're supposed to use it to serve people, not control them. And the department's been getting calls, not just about today, but about you. Harassment, selective enforcement, fines for things that don't exist. Karen's knuckles went white around her clipboard. Baseless accusations. Hearsay. Evan grinned slowly, the way only someone holding a full house against a bluff can grin. Really? Because I happen to have 3 signed witness statements already. One from Mr. Geller about you threatening him over his garden. One from the Ramirez family about you falsifying maintenance fees. And one, he added, eyes locked on hers, from a former HOA treasurer who says you've been embezzling funds. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. I didn't speak. I didn't need to. The show was writing itself now, and the whole block was the audience. And then, like clockwork, the tow truck driver unhooked my car. I'm out, he muttered, climbing back into the cab, starting the engine with a roar of relief. The ramp lowered. My car was free. Karen looked around, expecting someone to step in, to help her, to defend her. No one moved. No one was coming. Not this time. Karen tried one last trick, her voice rising into that brittle register of someone realizing the ground beneath them is gone. I'll have the HOA board handle this. You'll be hearing from our lawyer. Evan raised an eyebrow. Good. Tell him to call me and make sure he brings paperwork on that embezzlement while he's at it. Her eyes darted between me, Evan, the neighbors with their phones out. The realization hit her all at once. She wasn't the queen here anymore. She was just another neighbor with too many enemies and not enough friends. That's when the real surprise happened. From across the street, a door opened. Out stepped Mr. Langston, the quiet retired guy who always wore the same worn fishing hat. Except today, he wasn't alone. He was carrying a thick folder. Been waiting for the right time, he said, lifting his voice. This woman's been cooking the books for years. Every fake violation, every inflated contractor invoice. I kept records. Karen's mouth opened in horror. You! Save it, he said sharply. I served in the Marines, lady. I know a liar when I see one. It was over. Evan pulled out his radio. Dispatch, send a unit. Possible fraud investigation. HOA rep on site. Multiple witness statements. Karen's hands trembled now, not in righteous anger, but panic. When the second cruiser pulled up, Karen made one last attempt to compose herself, fixing her blouse, smoothing her hair. Like appearance could save her now. It couldn't. As the officers gently took her by the elbows and led her to the car, I finally spoke. Quiet, calm. You should have just left me alone, Karen. The door closed. The cuffs clicked. I looked at Evan. He smirked. You owe me tacos. Done. Neighbors clapped softly one by one. It wasn't loud, but it was enough. The sound of a neighborhood waking up. I reached for my car door, smiled, and said exactly what I'd been waiting to say. Welcome to my driveway.